This week it's all about practicality and family cars. We've got 3 7-seaters you can get for around £300 per month on a PCP deal and based on how people search for cars at Autotrader. This is the Ford S-Max, which was one of the first people movers to offer some driving excitement whilst lugging the family around. It is the most powerful car here by a long way with 180 horsepower and consequently it is the quickest off the blocks, which is right up my street.
While the others have gone down a far more traditional route for carrying 7 of an MPV, I've gone for this, the Peugeot 5008. It's an SUV, far more yummy mummy. It's a pretty good looking car and inside there's a surprising amount of tech as standard.
And I've got this, the Citroen Grand C4 Picasso, which has the biggest windscreen I've ever seen. When you're loaded up with kids or bags, it's really easy to get in with keyless entry. And you can also open the boot by kicking your foot underneath it. Because the windscreen is so big, it's really light in here, and there's even more light thanks to the panoramic glass sunroof. The design is a bit unusual though.
I'm really impressed by the interior of the Peugeot 5008. It's just staggering. You've got this fantastic new iCockpit setup from Peugeot, which is a low steering wheel and the dash right in front of you near the road, so you don't have to lift your eyes far up, which from a safety point of view is great. Also, the door panels here and on the dash here look like fabric, but they're plastic.
Compared to the French pair, the Ford's interior is very traditional. Its simple design is incredibly easy to use. It just lacks the flair and the funkiness of the other two.
Get out of the way!
Its 2-litre turbo diesel engine isn't the most refined I've ever driven, and in fact it does sound a bit agricultural at times. When the power comes in, it's all or nothing, and that doesn't help for smooth progress either. But what I absolutely love is the gear shift on the steering column. Just so funky, so French, so different.
Yep,
brilliant.
I agree.
The ride is pretty good, but overall I just get the sense that I'm driving a van more than a car, and I'm a bit disappointed by that.
This panoramic sunroof is just fantastic. It comes at a certain trim level. Gives it real space and light in the back here, which is pretty vital if you're carrying kids around.
What's really nice about the front bit, if you get too much sun, you can just slide this cover over and then pull the sun visor down.
What I'm a little bit disappointed about in the back is that Citroen normally do storage so well, and while you've got some really deep bins up the front, and the side door pockets here are quite thin. On the other hand, you have the pièce de résistance for this car, in my opinion, which is these fold-down trays. Not only have you got cup holders in them and an elastic strap to secure pens and bits of paper when the kids are colouring, but also this snazzy little individual light. My 4-year-old would simply be clicking that on and off for the next 100 miles.
I just have to pick you up on the elastic band thing. I've spent all this money and I get elastic band. What's going on?
I can't think of a better way to describe it. Rachel, let's move on to tech.
The Citroen is a bit unusual because instead of your usual dashboard in front of the driver, you've just got these 2 screens in the centre, which will take a little bit of getting used to. The touchscreen, while the graphics look okay, it needs a really firm prod, which is going to be tricky to use while driving. But if all that and the kids in the back are stressing you out, we've got some nice massage seats.
Oh.
Hey, I haven't got those.
Are they crinkle crisps or straightforward flat type
Crinkle,
crisps?
obviously. Oh,
33 miles an hour. The 2-litre turbo diesel engine in here is much quieter and much smoother than it was in the Citroen. And I get a sport button on my 6-speed automatic gearbox, so I can spice things up a bit if I want to have a little bit of fun. Now, this car is the longest, the tallest and the widest of our trio, and yet it is incredibly nimble. It feels more like a Fiesta than it does a seven-seater.
This is certainly not a seven-seater for 7 adults, but none of them are in this class.
No, absolutely. To be fair, no, none of them are.
In the second row, they've got seat trays on the back of your seats, but they just flip up and they've got a cup holder. It's nowhere near as good as they were in the Citroen.
The touchscreen infotainment system in the S-Max is pretty easy and intuitive to use. You get all your usual DAB, Bluetooth and phone connectivity, and titanium trim upwards gets you a sat-nav, which most people are probably going to want. And there's also, in this trim, a nice little bit of ambient lighting, which we're not going to be able to see.
Okay, anyone up for a ramp test?
No.
30 miles an hour.
Ow! 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 Absolutely hilarious.
Rachel, we should just leave the car because she won't be able to get out.
Oh, ha 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 ha. Child locks are on.
The Peugeot is alone in being powered by petrol, and it's got the smallest engine by a long way, a 1.2 litre 3-cylinder job, which is tiny.
It's insane on paper when you think that's in a 7-seater.
Absolutely.
Mind you, Vix, you have got a sport button just there.
Oh, let's give it a go. I could still run faster than that.
I'm not slipping around too much in the back here, and it's a really comfy place to be. We've got the usual seat trays. I'm becoming a little bit of a seat tray expert here.
If you get annoyed by having to do absolutely everything through a touchscreen, you can use these rather lovely piano key style shortcuts to flick between menus. You get all the usual connectivity stuff, and GT line trim gets you wireless charging too.
Okay, girls, ready for the hump test?
Always.
Citroen ought to win it. Citroen prides itself on comfort. Oh, that was about 40 miles an hour. When it comes to the nitty-gritty between these three cars, there isn't an awful lot to choose between them. If it's pure driving pleasure you're after, that'll be the Ford S-Max. For practicality, especially with kids in mind, it's Citroen's Grand C4 Picasso. And for that little bit of French elan, it's the Peugeot 5008. Overall, the Peugeot just inches it. And it's got the SUV box ticked too.